Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Game Fuel Q&A. We are in the post-season, if you will, or the off-season. Our guys haven't been on the channel since they were in seasons. We're working on off-season contracts and player protections, but they'll be back soon enough. Right, Cody?
Yep. Can't wait to get the guys back on the channel, dropping all their knowledge on 2K21.
I see you got a little Game Fuel. Is that Berry Blast right there?
It is. We got some charged berry blast. Unfortunately, it's empty because I've already demolished all. Let's see. I think we get 12 in this one. Yeah, 12 cans. They were gone pretty quick, but still had the packaging left over. But I love the blue. I think it's my favorite.
I still maintain that my favorite is it's the sugar-free watermelon, charged watermelon.
And you're a big watermelon guy, but I haven't had the sugar-free ones yet, so we got to get those.
Look, I am newly a big watermelon guy. The sugar-free Game Fuel watermelon flavor, all these, I'm loving them, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's a new thing, man.
We're getting into it.
All right, let's actually get into it and start with the questions. FN posted, what are the S tier badges in each category? Personal preference, not necessarily the meta. What do you think, Cody?
Yeah, I'm going to give a couple badges that I don't think a lot of people will be happy about, and I'll explain why, Spencer. But the first one we'll do one of each category. First one, finishing. I'm going to say if you play really any game mode online and you put the Showtime badge on your player this year and you get a dunk, so it's like a flashy animation dunk, Spencer, everybody on your team gets takeover. So I play a lot with Kyle Rudy, who's the coach of the Knicks, and he has a play slasher at the one. We give him the ball. He has Showtime. Literally half of our takeover bar goes up every time he does a dunk. So we have team takeover so many times in the park, and it's amazing. So that's a little tip for you guys. And then the opposite of that is called Heart Crusher this year. It's glitched, to be honest with you. It's crazy. If you've watched comp ProAm games this year, you've seen that a lot of those games ban Heart Crusher because it's so OP. And Heart Crusher is if you get a steal or a block or a really good defensive possession, all of your teammates, or excuse me, actually it's the opposing team goes cold. So it's the opposite effect. Their meter goes down. So I've seen literally in the rec where someone gets a steal on the first play, Spencer, and the whole team goes cold. It's crazy.
Now, I've seen some people complaining about these two badges on Twitter. Have you seen that?
Yeah, like they hate it, and people are probably mad that I just dropped that, but I'm telling you guys, it's a secret this year, and it's really good. So, okay, shooting badges. I'm going to say Hot Zone Hunter. I think if you have your hot zones this year and you put on Hot Zone Hunter, your shooting percentage is going to increase dramatically. So you have to have your hot zones for this to be effective, but if you're having trouble shooting, really work on getting those hot zones, throw on Hot Zone Hunter, and you'll see a definite increase in your shooting percentage. And I
think 2K Lab posted maybe a graph on that.
They did.
Maybe we can link that, or maybe we'll even show it in the video.
As always, Spencer, they're the best diving into the data, and they definitely said Hot Zone is outstanding this year. And then I'll go with a playmaking badge. We'll give you two. I think Dimer is really good because shooting's difficult this year. So your point guard, throw a Dimer on. It increases the shooting percentage off of every pass you make. And then quick first step if you're not a passer. I think just like last year and the year before, quick first step at every single position is really good and effective to blow past defenders, get those blow-bys, and get to the rim.
The second question from A. Thurston this time. He's asking, and there's been a couple questions, so I'll read them all off. First, how tall do you think a meta center will be this year in Pro-Am? Another question by, I'm going to go with Mouse. Actually, it's got to be Mouse. He's got like a little Mickey Mouse avatar as his picture. He's also asking, is an undersized but quick center the way to go? And then some characters I can't even read off because they're in a foreign language. Essentially asks, what's the best center build? Pure red, blue, what height and physical pie chart do you suggest? So we're going to couple all these together a little bit and just have you maybe talk about what are the recommendations for center build this year so far?
Definitely. You went to the right place, Spencer, because I'm playing center this year. I've already made two builds. It might already be released, Spencer,
I think it will. We're
point.
Probably going to record it after this, but I think we'll release it before this.
Got it. So you guys have already seen the builds that I'm playing at center, or at least one of them. First thing to know is because inside scoring is nerfed this year, it's really difficult with the contest. The big mashy centers are not as good as they have been in the past. So I highly recommend don't go 7 foot to 7'3". You're slow, you can't get up and down the court, hard to catch oops sometimes too. So yes, undersized centers are the way to go. I recommend going 6'8" to 6'10", depending on your playstyle preference. You see in comp pro-am, guys like Goofy from the Grizz are playing on a 6'8". I think Walnut from the Blazers is on a 6'10". And then I've seen a lot of players somewhere in the middle on 6'9" too. So anywhere from 6'8" to 6'10" is good. You can go pure red and get 30 defense and rebounding badges. You can go red-blue if you want to have some more finishing on the inside. I don't think you can go wrong with either. But the undersized center is definitely good. The speed, all speed or speed vertical pie chart for physical is the way to go too.
So Michael asks, how does life in the 2K League work? And how do you spend your off days? I'll start and give you a little break, Cody, and then Cody can talk a little bit more on the player day-to-day, I guess.
Yeah.
But as the director of content for me, generally when we actually are in the office and in our HQ, we'll kind of go in at a normal time, especially Cody and I, around 9 o'clock. And generally the day will go to 5 or 6 for us. And for me, Cody and I try to work together to plan out times in which we can utilize the guys for content. So between all the scrimmages and stuff that Cody will talk about, or maybe even before they even get started for the day, we'll set up times that we can do videos that you guys see on this channel, and make sure we use the guys' time wisely. And then on my end, when all the guys are scrimmaging, Cody's working on practice and other things, I'm of course editing videos, working on graphics for social media, and that kind of fills out the rest of my day.
I'll give Michael a player perspective, Spencer. So like Spencer said, we're usually in the office at least an hour before the players, but once they come in, we usually have them working on either film or the scouting report for the opposing team we're playing against that week for about an hour, I would say. And then the guys will usually eat lunch together, watch some Colin Cowherd. That was the favorite this year. And then we'll get into scrimmages right around noon, usually somewhere around 11:30 noon, and then we'll have 2 to 3 scrims throughout the afternoon. So it could go from 12 to 4, 12 to 6. Even earlier in the season, we could go later than that. This past season, a lot of our guys loved working out, and we got them gym memberships, so we would all head over to the Y before COVID to get a lift in together. But because of COVID, we couldn't see the guys for an extended period of time, and that schedule was sort of shifted to being in their apartments, and we were doing exactly what you see here. We'd be on a Discord call together or a Zoom call for game plan, for scouting report, and it was different, man. It was different, wasn't it, Spencer? Like, it was a huge adjustment.
Absolutely. I basically didn't see you guys the entire season in person.
Yep.
Saw you in March, and then I saw you in August. So, and that by that time the season was over, which was crazy. When I first saw everyone in person, if some of you tuned in to the Make-A-Wish stream that we had in August, that was actually right after our season ended, and it was the first time I'd seen the guys since before the season, and it felt so different. It almost felt like we didn't even have a season,
right?
And that we were just getting started. Honestly, it was a little sad. I think that's the way kind of our season went. In a normal year, we'd be doing a lot more traveling. You guys know that we play in New York City, the games, and then tournaments are also in some other cities. Like the second season, we went to Vegas, we went to Orlando. So, half of our week might be spent traveling to different cities to actually play in the studio. It breaks up the week a little bit. And then also, I think the atmosphere, that in-studio experience is a lot different than playing online. That's definitely for sure. How did the guys this year spend their off days?
I think it was different this year because they were quarantined in the apartments here downtown, and downtown was literally locked down for a few months.
Yeah.
Like it was tough to, we couldn't even go out to eat together. It was really a lot of DoorDash and ordering food to their rooms, to their apartments. Played a lot of board games together, a lot of cards. Bo, Bobby, Jomar, and Nate had Madden seasons. I mean, they were in like 2032 from all the franchise games, the GM mode they played. They did the same in 2K. So, you know, just hanging out, having fun together, doing what they could do in their apartments. But usually, you know, the guys live right off Mass Ave, which is where all the bars and restaurants here are downtown in Indianapolis. You know, we've got the zoo, the canal, the Colts, of course, Pacers games while those are going on. There's a lot of stuff to do in a really small area downtown here in Indy. So normally we'd have a lot of things to choose from on our off days, but this year was just a little bit different and unique.
And to touch on the off season a little bit, the guys generally spend about 6 months here. We call it in market, which basically means they're in the city, and they're all local essentially. But
Yep.
then they all go back home in the off season, and so we'll work with them remotely, which isn't much different than what we did all year long this year.
Right.
But when it comes to like doing content and things like we touched on in the beginning of the video, that's some of what they're doing in the off season, as well as some of them gaming on their own, you know, with their own ProAm teams, etc. Or sometimes they have jobs and things they go back to as well, or even school.
Yep.
All right, next up from It's Chillmatic. He says, "Is 2K21 good?" What do you think
I like
so far?
it. I like it. You know, I think there could always be some tweaks and improvements. It feels different than 2K20, though, and I think that's a good thing. I didn't have high hopes because it was on current gen, but I like the game, and I think there is a skill gap. So, yeah, I think it's definitely worth getting and trying out, and I really can't wait until we see next gen here in a couple months.
I think we all probably knew what to expect.
Right.
I don't think we were super surprised that, you know, it's going to be a bit of an upgrade from 2K20, but
sure.
the real game's coming out with the new consoles and everything, and I think we can all be excited for a lot of change.
Definitely.
Hopefully, when next gen comes out.
Definitely.
All right, Campion Black, he says, "How does 2K21 shooting difficulty compare to 2K20 League difficulty?"
So, as you guys know, if you followed our channel, the league build that we play on during our season is different than what the retail game is, whether it's Pro-Am, Park, My Career. The difficulty sliders are higher than all of those. It's on a level that isn't even in the retail version of the game. And it's very, very challenging. I would say it's probably close to where it was when the game released this year. I think Mike Wang had patched a few game modes since the retail version of 2K21 dropped. I'd say the league build is right about in that level, maybe even a little bit harder than that. The thing you have to consider in the league build is players don't have hot zones. So automatically not having that badge takes away a lot of the green opportunities. You can miss wide opens, unfortunately. Even if you have a full bar perfect release, we're not going to go into that. Something the players have to deal with as well. So I would say it's comparable to what it was when the game released, but the league build is probably still a little more difficult.
Alfredo Garcia, he's saying, which shooting badges are most effective for players between a 70 and 83? He says he's just using that scale since it's what most red-green, like 3 and D builds have.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll assume if you're playing 3 and D, you're probably playing in the corner. So I would recommend corner specialist for sure for your build. Catch and shoot as well would be a great badge for you to have if you're playing out of the corner. Hot zone hunter, like I said previously, I think is key this year to get your hot zones at any place you shoot routinely throughout a game. And it will drastically increase your percentage make chance. Again, 2K Labs made quite a few videos on all of those badges. So corner specialist, catch and shoot, hot zone hunter. You could sprinkle in some range extender there. I think it's really good this year. Green machine, as always, can be efficient. And a sneaky badge this year is flexible release. I think they tweaked it a little bit, and they've made it more viable in 2K21 than it was in 2K20.
From Aaron Monish, are we happy that Quick Draw is gone, Cody?
Heck yes. I did not like that badge. I mean, the answer is yes. I just don't think that was the direction they should go with shot timing. I like being able to choose it in the jump shot creator, very slow all the way to very fast. Saves you badge points too, so you can use them on other shooting badges, which I think is much needed.
And what we found is the community agrees. It definitely falls more in like the optional. This is like a setting that you get to choose as a
Correct.
player. What are you most comfortable with, etc. I mean, it's kind of like when we did the best settings video with Wolf, and there's different options in there. Like you would never make a badge that is turning the meter off or something like that, right? I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's where it should live. It should live in the customization of your jump shot.
Definitely. And one last tip on that note, we're citing 2K Lab quite a bit because we've talked about shooting in this video, but they released a video a week ago titled "Do Slower Shots Go In More?" So there was a theory early in 2K21 that if you shot very slow or slow on your shot timing meter when you selected it in the jump shot creator, your shots would go in more often. And I won't spoil it for you guys, but go watch that video because it is very interesting to see where you should have it if there's a sweet spot, because there is, and I'll let you go watch their video and check that out.
A. Thurston is back. He's curious what your ProAm lineup would consist of.
Let's see. I would go play shot at the 1, probably. I would have a sharp at the 2. And then I've seen some people have a stretch in the corner or a 3-and-D build or a sharp lock, something like that. I think you can run double sharp. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place, but I'm going to give you some options. Play shot with a sharp, or you could go double play shot, or you could have a slasher in there. It doesn't matter. 3-and-Ds or stretches in the corner, maybe a sharp lock. And then at the center, somewhere between that 6'8" and 6'10", just depending on your center's play style. And I would go all red or blue red.
And we will get even more specific with height, pie chart, things like that, and the actual builds that the guys are using on their own Pro-Am teams as soon as we get them back.
Heck yeah.
But that should give you a little bit of direction. So Cody, from A. Thurston again, if you were to create a build that would be spot up, what would the 3-point rating be at a minimum?
Yeah, I think you have to have at least a 75-3 this year with badges to be successful. So even under an 80 is tough to really hit at a consistent clip at the highest level, but 75 at an absolute minimum. So I think you could go red-green if you build it right, and make sure you have a 75-3 is what I would say.
Last one here from Coltrane, and this is a great one to end on. What do we hope to see in the next gen game that isn't included in the current gen? Features and gameplay wise, obviously the graphics will be better.
For sure, yeah. Graphics, of course, not a priority though, I don't think, for esports and competitive play. Different gameplay, I think, would be great. Just the feel of the game. I would love more control over animations, if that's possible, when they're coding. You know, I think right now you get some random animations in the game, even when you're not trying to. It's difficult on a controller, but I think increasing the skill gap through the way you move your stick in certain directions and combinations with buttons is always a good thing for comp play. The rating system, ranked, we always talk about, Spencer, for Pro-Am and 5-on-5 mode, I think is crucial to the success of esports with 2K. I'm trying to think what else. Of course, a new park would always be fun, maybe some new game modes. You know, we've seen cages were out, I think, 2 years ago, and that was something new, but not a lot of people play it. We've had the park forever. My team's been the same. Pro-Am's been the same. So just something different maybe would be fun in terms of game modes.
From my standpoint, when we talk about graphics, obviously you're talking like 3D models, like the, you know, stuff looking good, ray tracing, all that kind of stuff. But for me personally, I want to see just a whole reskin of the entire game. I want to be able to load up that game and feel like it's totally different. Scoreboard's different. Main screen is different. I want things located in different spots. I don't want to know exactly where things are when I load it. I want to feel like it's all new and I got to kind of hunt and find different things. That's what I would wish for. I want it to feel like a totally different game.
I'm with you. A new UI is much needed.
Yeah.
I think we saw on Twitter, one of the league players, Spencer, posted a screenshot from 2K16 to 2K21 in the ProAm arena. The same recycle bin is in the corner. Hasn't moved in 5 years. So move that recycle bin, 2K, and let's get something new in there.
You know, it would be really funny is if over the years, each year, it got like more full.
Right.
And then like there's like it just keeps like piling up, and there's like boxes sitting to the side of it and stuff every year. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you for submitting your questions to this Mountain Dew Game Fuel Q&A. We do, in fact, have Rate My Build coming up with Game Fuel as well. It's going to be live. We got some special guests we're lining up, working on. I believe when this video comes out, it should be coming out the following week. So look for it next week. We will put the link to the form to submit your builds for the current gen of 2K21 in the description of this video. As always, keep tabs on our community tab here on YouTube. That's where we submit the Q&A for you guys to submit your questions as well. All right, guys, we appreciate you watching. We'll see you next time.